Texas Hill Country vibe. And that was just
Who was running the presidency for the last 4 years? A lot of people say it was Obama's third term.
it was for sure Obama's third term. I don't think that's even a question. I don't think anyone in, it definitely was. And that's why you saw Obama fighting for his dear life. Why was he fighting so hard in the fall? Because he was fighting for his fourth term. He was fighting for his own legacy. The relationship between Obama and Biden is most reminiscent of that between LBJ and JFK. JFK had little respect for Lyndon B. Johnson, but he picked him anyway because he wanted to win the South. He wanted to win Texas. But he had very little respect for LBJ's intellect. JFK was surrounded by his Harvard brain trust, and he had immense disdain for LBJ's Texas Hill Country vibe. And that was the same attitude that Obama had towards Biden. Obama thought that Biden would eventually fuck everything up. And that's eventually actually what happened. So, but also he didn't have much faith in Kamala Harris. Before she ascended to the top role, he was vetting people like Mark Kelly and Andy Bashir. Most people, most party chieftains didn't have Kamala Harris as their number one choice. But in the party of DEI, you can't skip a black woman. The optics would have been terrible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So who was running it? Who are the names?
Steve Ricchetti, his senior advisor, Anita Dunn, Mike Donnellan, Ron Klain, Jeff Zients, Bob Bauer, his personal lawyer, who's actually his personal lawyer, who actually leased a book, basically grifting off his relationship with the Bidens. I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying all this. Please give me credit for. But these are the people who ran our country for the last 4 years.
There you have it. It is a breath of fresh air watching Lindy Lee do her thing. She is the only sane person in the Democratic Party, it seems, and she's looking at everything very honestly and frankly in the right mind, in my opinion. She understands exactly what is happening with the political shift in the United States, and it's going to be inevitable what happens over time. And good on her for being honest and showing what she actually believes in. And she understands that America is more center more than anything. And she knows that if the Democratic Party keeps going as left as they have been, it's going to just keep on happening. And she doesn't want that to happen, right? She is a political commentator, but she worked with a lot of campaigns with the Biden campaign, the Kamala campaign, and overall, she just really wants the Democrats to win. But in turn, she gives a lot of truth bombs. And people like this, in my opinion, are people that inevitably will go over and switch parties. So she claims to be an independent now. She was a Democrat for well over 20 years. Uh, and excited to see kind of what happens in the future. And she has a clip with uh, Cuomo on News Nation, and we're going to get into that and see exactly what she thinks happened in the Democratic 2024 campaign and what should happen in the future if they want to see anybody win again.
And absolutely putting a target on your head, let alone your back. Why would you do this?
If we don't confront reality, if we don't address these very serious issues, we're going to keep losing. And I really like what you've said, earlier in the segment. If we don't recognize that America is shifting rightward, we are going to keep losing. If we don't have a financial accountability and some sort of very serious accounting of how exactly we spent $1 billion in 2 to 3 months, how are donors and even everyday Americans who gave their $10 and $25 ever going to trust the Democratic Party again? We need a serious postmortem to show that we're learning the lessons, that we are exposing everything that went wrong, and that we are going to do better in the future. We can't just throw everything under the rug and assume that daddy's going to fill the piggy bank again.
What do you think of these allegations of what Oprah, I mean, either they paid the production company or they didn't, I've never heard of people getting paid for endorsements. Paid
I'm
to
stunned.
perform, maybe, but usually they give it. But do you believe it?
It's not a matter of believing, it's literally in the report. And she can deny it however much she wants to, but it says Harper Productions on the FEC report. I really don't know how you get around that. It's her company, and she may not have gotten paid personally as a person, but it paid her company. So I think this is a matter of semantics. She got paid. And it's just, if my donors had known beforehand that the money would be dispersed this way, I do not think they would have given. It's a sacred trust. These people, a lot of my donors have worked hard all their lives. And again, these are everyday Americans around the country. I didn't just deal with big donors. I also fundraised from grassroots donors who gave $25, as I mentioned. I did something called Geeks and Nerds for Harris. People are giving like $10 to $15. These are people, some people are living paycheck to paycheck. So it's a sacred trust for them to give money to a campaign. It is our utmost responsibility to use that money in a responsible manner and to not treat it as OPM, which is other people's money. If we can't handle campaign money the right way, how can taxpayers, how can Americans possibly trust us that we would handle taxpayer money the right way?
There you go. She is telling exactly how it is, right? At the end of the day, these people spent way too much money on an absolute egregious amount of things that you frankly shouldn't even have to spend money on, right? Over $1 billion wasted. And I think a lot of people are going to be put off by that in the future and not really trust the Democratic Party as much as they did in the past. So I'm really interested to see, what happens in the future, kind of what Lindy Lee actually does, see if she goes to the Republican side, if she stays more independent. Excited to see. But most importantly, share, like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share Smooth Unfiltered. Peace.